Welcome, senior expats and potential senior expats, and also anyone who's younger that's planning on the future, or you're just curious what it's like to be our age in a foreign country. Welcome to one and all. I'm Nana, and about 3 years ago, I started researching countries to move to during my retirement, and I ended up choosing Colombia after visiting a couple of times, and I have now been living here a little over a year and absolutely love it. What I wanted to talk about today, though, are the advantages of being a senior expat. Oftentimes, our society, particularly, and I'm speaking of the US, and forgive me because that's my home country, but I'm sure that people in Europe or Australia or Canada can relate to this too. In many cultures, the elderly are, well, they just kind of disappear. They aren't recognized. I really notice that in Florida because it's predominantly senior citizens, and whether it's the people that work in the restaurants or the shops or just out and about, younger people, they have had it up to here with the seniors, because I think a lot of them are grumpy, not me. And I don't think it's necessarily that the younger people in Florida don't care for seniors. They just aren't interested in them at all. In other cultures, the elderly are revered. They are known as the wise ones. They're the ones everyone goes to for advice, and they're really well respected. But I found that I was disappearing in the United States, and that certainly wasn't my reason for moving out of the country. But now that I am in Colombia, I do see a significant difference. I don't feel that I get any less attention, and I don't mean it in the physical romantic sense, although that would be nice. But what I mean is just people interested in having conversation with me. I feel that I'm equal to just about anyone, no matter what their age, and that's a nice thing. So what is it that makes seniors have an advantage abroad? Let's talk about aging and wisdom, because with age definitely comes wisdom. And wisdom is a product of experience. We seniors have an enormous amount of experience, and we utilize that, or should at least, in our everyday current lives. We know what makes things tick. We know ourselves so much better. And we've experienced so many ups and downs, whether it's anything politically or historically, personally, as far as fashion, lifestyle, just about anything. We have seen and lived through the ebb and flow of cultural changes. And we just, in general, have a much wider perspective on things and are less narrow-minded. We've had the opportunity to apply an enormous amount of critical thinking throughout our lives. And in doing so, with each experience, we have developed a deep understanding of psychology, philosophy, anthropology, just general human behavior, and our own selves, our own emotions, our own habits, our own tastes in things. We are much more clear on who we are and what the world is all about. But what's really interesting is with all of that experience, you think that it would just mount, and just create this enormous stress level in us. But what else happens as we age? I look at it as a laissez-faire attitude. I know I have it, and most of my friends have it. That, of course, is a French term meaning you don't really give a damn. Free and easy, whatever goes, goes. So that's a nice attitude to develop. And I think it's a natural progression over the years that we seniors care less and less what others think of us. Because what really matters is for us to feel fulfilled and happy inside our own selves. What other people think and even what they say to us, and oh my gosh, don't even get me started, because I've had some, fortunately not many, negative, slightly attacking comments on YouTube. And I know the young version of myself would have been devastated by some of these comments, but they just roll off my shoulders, brush them off. It just really doesn't matter. I've learned, and we've all learned, that what other people say are a product of their own experiences, their own issues, their own problems, if you will, if they're being overly negative towards you. If you are presenting yourself in the very best way and being kind and a good human being, and someone has a problem with you, so be it. We just move on and get on with our day and have a wonderful life despite. Along with not really caring what other people think about us in our senior years, it also allows us to live a much less expensive life. In other words, when I was younger, I cared quite a bit. I lived in Los Angeles through most of my young adulthood, and that was a real keep up with the Joneses type of lifestyle. And I wanted a nice car, I wanted nice clothes. I wasn't super high fashion conscious or anything like that. I did have a bit of common sense, but I had a bit of buyer's remorse at times because I would stretch my dollar and get that pair of shoes that I really didn't need, those types of things. So now in my senior years, I'm fine. I've got my jean jacket on today. I don't have a huge wardrobe anymore. I really downsized before I came here. And that part of my downsizing was really not hard to do at all. I don't need any labels, nor would I want that in Colombia, but I didn't even want that in the United States for years before I left and came here. So we can live a more frugal lifestyle and really not care. I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything by not having the latest version of an iPhone. I have an iPhone, but it's a few versions back. And fortunately, it has a really good camera, so I'm able to do these videos on it. But I don't feel like I have to have the latest or the newest. And I have an Instagram, for instance, which I post every now and then on. And I am not really into social media that much, but when I see what I'm bombarded with, and even on Facebook with these ads of get this and get that, and whether it's the latest eyebrow pencil, I mean, all this crazy stuff, I am kind of happy with just about everything that I use and I have. And, something breaks or wears out, obviously I need to get it again, but I don't feel that consumerism like I used to feel. And I think that's really typical. When you think of grandma and grandpa's houses when you're growing up, they had the same furniture from when they were married. I know my parents were like that too for years and years and years, and they just don't care. They weren't looking at home design magazines and having to have the latest. If it was in good shape and still comfortable, they were happy. So all of that comes with age, and I'm really happy for that. And it makes the expat experience so much easier because when you leave the country, you are going to have to give up certain things that you're used to. Every culture is different that you move to. You have to downsize immensely. And then you start thinking about, well, I had this and I had that. You know what? Life is fine without that. It really is. And then there's so many other pluses that I have here that far outweigh what I don't have anymore. It's no big deal at all. And again, because of my age, I know it is, I just let it roll off my back. No big deal. So with more knowledge and wisdom and experience, and with that laissez-faire attitude, we also become more discerning. And I don't mean necessarily in a negative way. We just really clearly know what we like and what we don't like, and we gravitate towards what we like. So here I am as an expat, even though my friends and family were utterly freaked out when I first announced the idea and actually proceeded on it. But it's what makes me happy. But I analyzed what my current life was like in the United States, not only financially, but also emotionally. And it wasn't right. I was off kilter. I was not happy. I was sequestered. I wasn't going anywhere. A lot of that had to do for financial reasons, but I've never been clinically depressed in my life, but I really do think I was mildly depressed. And I'm a take action person. I'm a person with a really strong sense of survival. And I have an instinct for that, and I believe all of us have that instinct, but not all of us act on that. In the case with me, I decided to act on it, and that started with asking myself a lot of questions of what I like and what I don't like, and then gearing my life towards what would bring me the most happiness. And what else do we have that separates us from those youngins? Well, we have a biological clock. Oh yes, I felt that years ago when I was ready to start a family and we were just living together, so my partner, we weren't married yet, wasn't feeling the crunch that I was feeling as a woman with that biological clock at the time to start having children. But I'm talking about obviously a different biological clock. And that is, dun 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 dun. Sorry, it's not funny, but it's the clock of death. Ooh. But, we're all gonna die someday. And so, I thought about it. I don't want to be sequestered in fear of not being able to make all my bills, being forced to go back to work. I worked for over 40 years and I refused to go back to work. That's another reason I came to Colombia. I just refused. I thought there's got to be a way for me to live happy and not have to be part of the grind anymore. When someone is lying on his or her deathbed, regrets are usually regretting not having or allowing oneself certain experiences, whether it's being closer with their children they're raising or having been working the grindstone and not taking the risk possibly to start their own business or anything to do with actual experiences. Those are the regrets that we have, not, oh, I wish I had made more money. I wish I had that Ferrari that I saw back in 1985 because boy, oh boy, would I be sitting here happy and beaming over that Ferrari right now. Probably not. So with that biological clock ticking, it makes us appreciate every single moment of our lives. Every day the sun rises is really a miracle just of nature and in our own lives and something to be really grateful for. And it also signifies opportunity to do what makes ourselves happy and what makes others happy. And we have that opportunity every single morning. We don't have to repeat the same old tapes, and we can change ourselves at any moment in our lives, even in our senior years. And having that ability never goes away. And as seniors, we're able to hone in on that so much more when we stop working. Because when we have a fast-paced career or we're working overtime week after week after week, year after year to support our family, what we can focus on in our senior years is living a full and rich life without all the pressures of responsibility that we've had our entire lives hanging over us. We have the opportunity to sleep better, hopefully, and wake up smiling. And that's really a beautiful thing. So as an expat, we do have our Social Security, which is, not much, certainly not enough in the United States to live on. But if we move to another country, we can live comfortably And then we also have the opportunity to explore passions. Mine has always been photography, even though I never did it professionally. And I remember when MTV first came out, I was enthralled with music videos and the cinematography and the storytelling. And I would tell myself all the time, why am I on this career path that I chose? I would love to be a film director of music videos. Isn't that funny? So now I'm just a film director of myself. And it's not very creative, but it is. It is, for me, I'm passionate about it. I'm really enjoying the filming and the editing and being able to communicate through a means of other than just in person, but with people who I don't know. I find that just super exciting. So when we're a senior expat, we have the time and opportunity to explore hobbies, a means of making additional income. All of these things are at our fingertips, and that's an incredible advantage. And one of the best things of all about being a senior is we don't really have to listen to anybody anymore. I mean, obviously it's fun to listen to people. Everyone deserves to be heard. And there's nothing better than deep conversation and sharing thoughts and ideas and giving back to people. All of that's super important. But what becomes not important really at all as we age is listening to people telling us what to do. What a sense of freedom, not having to listen to someone else telling you what to do. The joy of retirement is fabulous, and we should all be reveling in that. And leaving the country and being in a situation where we're at the helm of our own experience is so freeing. So let's recap what we senior expats have over young expats. We have wisdom. We don't let other people get under our skin. We don't feel the pressures of consumerism. We have a fast-ticking biological clock, which is a gift because that pushes us to have the most fulfilling life as we possibly can. And it is free of restraints because we're no longer raising families or working a full-time job. So the world is our oyster, actually. So, fellow seniors, here's to us. Here's to living a life filled with peace and contentment and joy. And we have that opportunity every day. And we don't have to think about a full-time job every day. We don't have to think about our small children and what went on at school that day and how we're going to fix this and that for them. All of those pressures are behind us. And it is such an exciting time. And I think the very best time to travel or to move abroad. And why not? So, fellow seniors, isn't it just fun not giving a damn what other people think? Isn't it wonderful to wake up every morning not having to go to work or listen to a boss telling us what to do? We are in control of our own destiny. And that is so invigorating. Talk about keeping us alive and vital. You would not catch me in a million years living in a place like the Villages in Florida. In fact, I've had some people poke at me and ask why I'm not there in the comments. I don't want that. My life is not about being in a homogenous situation where everyone is my own age. I love talking to young people. I love seeing babies. I like variety. Variety is the spice of life. I do not want a microcosm of the world where I don't even go out in the world and I'm just driving everywhere on a golf cart and everything is homogenous and the same. I don't want that. I'm a more adventurous person and I'm able to do that now. And that is an enormous advantage of being retired. So we have the choice of the Villages, if we can afford it. I think it's pretty expensive there. And we also have the choice, if we want, to become an expat. So with all that wisdom, with all those years behind us, we can celebrate all these wondrous times in our life, and we can move forward in such a way that we know every morning when that sun rises that we have the opportunity to have the very best day. Every day can be different and joyous, and we can celebrate it in so many ways. So I hope that this has been inspiring to those that are considering possibly moving abroad. It's not for everyone. Do your research, visit places. Some people love it, some people don't. But it's something that has brought me enormous contentment. And I'm really enjoying showing you all aspects of what life is all about as a senior here in this part of Colombia. So everyone, thanks again for joining me. I look forward to seeing you again very soon. And in the meantime, here's to living your very best life for the rest of your life. Bye for now.